Hi, I'm Elijah Scott, and this is my presentation on the Functional Assessment Screening Tool, or the FAST. Alright, so for a brief agenda of the presentation, I'll start by going through an overview of the Functional Assessment Screening Tool, or the FAST, including its development, first uses, how and when to use it, and strengths and limitations with the Functional Assessment Screening Tool. Next, we will be looking at some peer-reviewed articles testing the reliability of the FAST and comparing it with other indirect assessments. Last, we'll be looking at a case study that shows when you would use the FAST based on a wide variety of factors. Alright, so for a bit of an overview, the Functional Assessment Screening Tool is an indirect assessment method that is based on functions of behavior. This tool consists of a self-reporting checklist or a rating scale aimed at discerning if the behavior is maintained by sensory, escape, attention, intangibles, or pain reduction. This rating scale includes information for the client or informant, as well as includes preliminary background information on said behaviors and the client relationship. This checklist only takes around 10 to 15 minutes to implement, and is useful when paired together with either direct observation, indirect observation, or experimental procedures to help ascertain a good image of the function of the behavior. Alright, so the history and development of the FAST. The Functional Assessment Screening Tool was first developed at the University of Florida by renowned applied behavior analyst Brian Iwata and Isser de Leon to go hand in hand with their functional analysis procedures. The idea here was to create their own indirect assessment tool that would better merge with their new experimental assessment, the functional analysis. It was originally created in 1995, however, the scale underwent many changes and revisions before being re-released in 2005 as the current version. The original 1995 version of the Functional Assessment Screening Tool was vastly overcomplicated and included a scale of 34 items. This was then reduced to the 16 that are present in the modern version of the FAST, which also much better suits the needs of the FAST. So again, for a brief overview, the original was developed in 1995, whereas the current model, which we will be looking in more in depth in the next slide, was released in 2005. Alright, so here is the current FAST. This includes, on the left side, some disclaimers and instructions to the person conducting the interview, and as well as the interviewee. Then there are a handful of background questions covering topography of the behavior, frequency, severity, settings, discriminative stimuli, motivating operations, and any current treatments. Then on the right side, we see the 16-item checklist. Each question on this checklist will correlate to a different function of behavior. These being social attention, preferred items, social escape from tasks or activities, automatic sensory stimulation, or automatic pain attenuation, which is reduction. After these questions are answered, the yeses are then all added together, and the function with the highest total is the clearest hypothesized source of reinforcement of the behavior in question. So just going over the FAST here, on the right side at the very first blurb, we can see the little section for the interviewer. This is just a little small blurb explaining exactly how you should be filling out the form, how you should be explaining it to the informant. And then you have a few questions, real good preliminary background questions about the relationship between the person who is going to be the informant and the client themselves. This forms a really strong basis for you to kick off the rest of your research later on. So, when should you use the functional assessment screening tool? So the FAST should be used as a form of indirect assessment, preferably if you are limited by time or looking for an indirect assessment method that pairs with the functional analysis as made leading by Brian Iwata. The reason of using this assessment specifically is to help provide context and background information on the function of the behavior in question. This can then be added with either more indirect assessments, direct assessments, or experimental assessments to help you figure out the function of a behavior. This assessment is also very respectable of the informant's time, as it only takes around 10 to 15 minutes to implement, making it a very useful preliminary assessment. It should be noted that this method, along with any other indirect method, seriously lacks reliability if not paired together with another method to help compare the agreeability between both tests. All right, so now some strengths and some limitations of the FAST. So for a closer look at some strengths for the FAST would be that it is quick to implement, making it a very useful tool to use when time is a valuable resource for the client. The next strength would be that it provides a uniform format for gathering information. This ties hand in hand with it being a good starting point to follow up on during preceding interviews, giving you information from the informant about when and why the behavior is happening, topography, severity, etc. The FAST is also moderately reliable, making it useful when pairing together with other assessment methods to check for agreeability and consistency. As far as limitations, there are some pretty vast limitations of the FAST, some being that attention/preferred items are a single category, whereas in other similar scales, these are split into two different subscales. This means that the FAST is less accurate and therefore more variable than other similar scales. Both the QABF and the FACT exhibit higher reliability and in both inter-rater agreement, test-retest reliability, and internal consistency when compared to the FAST. So now we'll be taking a closer look at our very first peer-reviewed article. This is the reliability and validity of the functional analysis screening tool by Iwata, De Leon, and Roscoe. The method used in this study was first giving the FAST to all the informants. There being 2 informants per participant, they were able to check the reliability across the informants. After this, a functional analysis would be conducted to check the validity and reliability of the FAST when compared to the results of the functional analysis. The participants of this study were 151 people, 100 being male and 51 being female. All of the clients have an intellectual disability or autism, in addition to being referred for an assessment of either a problem behavior or multiple. The ages of these participants range from 5 years old to 53 years old. All of these subjects were drawn from a pool of potential participants from the University of Florida, the Kennedy Krieger Institute, and the New England Center for Children. The informants of the clients, that is, the ones who were supplying the data for the FAST, consisted of parents, family members, educational assistants, and care staff who are familiar with the client. There were 2 informants per participant. As for the setting for the study, the functional assessment screening tools were completed individually by the informants. As for the functional analysis, this was conducted in individual therapy rooms or cornered off areas of classrooms. These assessments would be spread throughout 10-minute sessions multiple times throughout the day or the week for some clients. The administrators of the FAST consisted of the informants and training staff. The training staff ranging in education from high school diploma to master's degrees, whereas the educational background is unknown for the family members. For the functional analysis, there was a therapist present for each condition, minus the alone conditions where one would be watching, however not present. This data was then interpreted by 5 different behavior analysts who were all very experienced in functional analyses. The outcomes of the study showed that the FAST is moderately reliable. This is in part due to how much room there is for errors and personal biases when completed by the informant, as well as the only moderate validity when compared with functional analyses. However, it has been identified as a useful tool to help gather information in a uniform way, providing some levels of reliability and validity, although not extensive. Allowing it to be properly used as a good jumping off point if time is limited and you intend to do more interviews or assessments based on what you have learned. And so for the second study we are looking at, we have the psychometric comparison of the functional assessment instruments QABF, FACT, and the FAST for self-injurious, stereotypic, and aggressive/destructive behavior by Zaha et al. Alright, so the method was used by giving the 3 tests, those being the FAST, the QABF, and the FACT, to trained informants to fill out on a specific target behavior of their chosen client. These results are then compared together to test inter-rater reliability, test-retest reliability, internal consistency, convergent and discriminant validity, as well as inter-rater percent agreement. The participants of the study included 130 individuals, 92 who were male, 38 being female. The clients all have various levels of intellectual disability, as well as many having additional physical or mental health difficulties. All the participants enrolled are at a Habilitative Day program in Minnesota that focuses on educational, vocational, and behavioral supports. These participants range from 20 years old to 72 years old. The setting for the tests were the Habilitative Day program's facility. The staff members were given the assessments in their normal setting for work. As for the administrators of the assessments, 29 senior staff members were trained and then asked to complete the 3 different assessments on a specific target behavior for clients that they felt the most familiar with. There being pairs made in most instances to assess the inter-rater reliability. As for the outcomes of the study, it has been shown that both the QABF and the FACT have much higher inter-rater reliability, test-retest reliability, internal consistency, convergent and discriminant validity than the FAST does, making the FAST lack in comparison to the other similar methods according to the data of the study. However, it should be noted that both the QABF and the FACT follow similar subscales, which could partially explain the vast differences in these results. Alright, so now for a case study. So, Selena is the mother of Diego, a 12-year-old boy with ASD. Selena has approached your agency about Diego, stating that her son never listens and flees from rooms when asked to do small favors. Selena is extremely busy with multiple jobs and lives in government cooperative housing in Little Argentina. He attends a public school and the teachers are eager to address this behavior. For the most part, Diego is watched by family members. However, they don't believe in this intervention and believe family and toughness is the best way forward and refuse to help. Selena wants to help, but due to work, she only gets spare time here or there. Not enough time nor resources to be fully involved. You need to find the function of the behavior before developing your treatment. So, based on your knowledge, the mom's time restraints, and the family attitude towards the situation, you conduct quick 10 to 15 minute interviews with the FASTs, with the mother and the teachers of Diego. This points you towards escape as a possible function of this fleeing behavior, and you follow this up with a quick open-ended interview based on your preliminary information from the FAST. Then, a functional analysis of the problem behavior. This reveals that the best hypothesized function is escape when you confirm the agreeability between the two assessments. This allows you to continue your treatment plan and best fit it into Selena and Diego's life. So again, just to reiterate, looking through here, Selena has an extreme lack of time and resources. This should point us away from very time-consuming assessment methods that include her, such as ABC recording, for example. Her family isn't interested in helping, but the mother and teachers are enthusiastic, and this points towards interviews with them as a good starting point. You choose from your giant stack of questionnaires and rating scales and lean towards the FAST, as you also have thoughts of following this up with an FA at your agency, which is equipped for such assessments. The FASTs are quick and aren't too inconvenient for either the mother or the teachers, giving you a good starting point of escape as a function. You further this by conducting interviews and experimental assessment, your favorite being the functional analysis, and this reconfirms that escape is the most likely function, all without vastly disturbing the family dynamics or taking too much of mom's or the teacher's valuable time. So I hope that kind of helped paint a picture of when a good time to use this assessment was. Here are all my references that I used throughout my presentation, those being Iwata and De Leon, 2005, Iwata et al., 2013, LaRue in 2013, and then Zaha et al. In 2011. And that is all for my presentation on the functional assessment screening tool. Thanks for watching.